Hello, today we are going to talk about KDE applications support for gamepads. So gamepads and similar input devices have various names: game controllers, joysticks. There's a D-pad, there's analog sticks, force feedback. They started with a small number of buttons and the D-pad, and continued with joysticks and more buttons, then shoulder buttons, etc. So the two most well-supported gamepads in Linux are the PlayStation ones and the Xbox ones. So I have a cheap gamepad that is similar to the one from PS3. Is this thing, GXT from Trust. Okay. And in the KDE system settings, there's a system settings module that allows to configure game controllers. So this is it. It says there's no joystick or a similar game controller. Let's now plug the gamepad using USB. In the journal, this appears as kernel input SHAN1 Trust gamepad as devices. This thing. Human interface device generic. Okay, so the kernel sees that I have just connected via USB my game controller, and okay, so let's look at the way the game controller system settings module looks like. If there's more than one game controller, you can select it in this combo box, and then all of the buttons are supported. First of all, I need to enter to configure the gamepad to be on the D position, not on the X position. So the X position makes it compatible with an Xbox gamepad, and the D position makes it compatible with a PS3, Sony PlayStation 3 gamepad. Okay, so it's on the D position. And now let's see what each of the buttons do. So D-pad up, that's Y-axis negative. D-pad down, X-axis positive. D-pad left, D-pad right, Y button, X button, B button, A button. So the order is Y, B, A, and then X. Okay, shoulders, left shoulder, right shoulder. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. Start is 10, select is 9. The second analog joystick just presses Y, B, A, and X. The left analog joystick is axis 5 and 6. So axis 3 and 0 are not mapped, and should have been mapped for the second analog joystick probably. Okay, so I like it that it's auto plug. I just plug it in the USB port and the kernel picks it up, and all of the buttons work. I do not need to calibrate it. Everything's fine. Okay. Then let's look at the KDE applications. So we have the games category. Let's see which of these games might use a gamepad, a game controller. Let's go with a game of Tetris. So Tetris games, this is one of their forms. So they use the what might be the D-pad, so the left three buttons, left, right, and down. And then there's a button for rotation on the right hand side, so that's probably button 1. So Y on my gamepad. Okay. Then there's web browser gamepad support. Okay. There's a gamepad connected event, gamepad disconnected event, and there's the standard defines the number of buttons and axes. And they're really similar to what I have on my game controller. Okay, so let's try to see how we can use the KDE's Tetris game using a game controller. Okay, so the application is called KBlocks, this thing. Okay, let's first install it on my computer. So it's called KBlocks. Let's make sure it starts and works. Okay. So let's do a game using just the keyboard. So there's a selection for a selector for difficulty level, so we're going to go with easy. And unfortunately it has music. I do not know how to play it, so up arrow key rotates and left, right arrow keys do left and right, and then key down is actually the down. Okay, so left, right, rotate, and then down. Let's pause the thing and look at the configuration. So KBlocks only allows the selection of the theme. That are all of the settings. And then there's extra settings, so settings that are not part of the settings dialogs and settings window. So this is the settings window. The other settings are play sounds, show toolbar, show status bar, difficulty level, language, the buttons in the toolbar, and the last one, configure keyboard shortcuts. So how can we put D-pad left as the left button. Can we configure this thing here? So let's see. So move piece left, this thing, custom, and let's, so I've pressed D-pad left, nothing happens. D-pad right, all of the buttons on the game controller, nothing happens. So the configure keyboard shortcuts dialog does not seem to see or know or support game controllers. Okay, so we cannot do anything from here. So the only thing left for us to do is to tell the game controller that each time I press the left D-pad, it should create a keyboard event of type left. And when I press the right D-pad, it should issue a keyboard press of type right arrow key. Okay. So let's see how this thing is done. So there's a page on the Arch Wiki, the Arch Linux Wiki, and says that many gamepads are working out of the box nowadays, which is my case. So I saw that there were two big categories of gamepads that are supported best by Linux, and those are Xbox gamepads and PlayStation gamepads. And I bought one which mimics PlayStation 3, PS3. It appears as dev input JS0. We can see it in here. It says dev input JS0. And probably there's also an event with a device with a very long name, like /dev/input/bypath. And then, I don't know, 5 words and then minus joystick. Okay, it talks about the difference between the old input joystick interface versus the new FDev interface, and this is not relevant for us right now. Then it talks about what to do if your gamepad doesn't exactly work out of the box, but mine does. I don't need to configure it in any way. I don't need to calibrate it. Okay, so all the two major web browsers, Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome, do have support for gamepads. So it sees exactly the same buttons that the KDE system settings module sees, the exact same events. Okay, supported in Chromium and Firefox. Okay, additional setups are dead zones and calibration. I did not need to do such a thing. I did not need to edit the XOR config. I'm on X11, Kubuntu 22.10 is my Linux operating system. More calibration, curves and responsiveness. Sometimes moving the joystick will move the mouse. This is not the case for me. I can move all of the joysticks and the mouse does not move. And then it's chapter 2.4 where it says using gamepad to send keyboard keystrokes. A couple of programs exist to map gamepad buttons to keyboard keys. And the first one is QJoyPad. I do not want to edit my XOR configurations. I don't even know if there's such a thing. I don't want to install x386 xorg input packages, modules. I don't want to remap the gamepad buttons. So my quest stops here. So there's a couple of programs, and the one that it's on the head of the list is QJoyPad. Okay, so it says it's a Qt, this should be lowercase, interface that converts gamepad joystick events into keystrokes and mouse actions in X windows. Okay, let's install it. So it exists on Ubuntu 22.10, it's called QJoyPad. And let's install it. Okay, already installed. Now let's run it. How do we start it? We can start it from the start menu, hopefully. Okay, doesn't show its main app, and it's minimized to system tray by default. So this is where it is. Okay, and I'm going to create, I will need to create at least a number of profiles depending on the application that I'm going to use. So I need to start QJoyPad, change the layout, and then start the KDE game. Okay. This thing. Okay. So let's look again at the keyboard shortcuts. So there's up, down, left, right, and down. Okay, let's map those. So I want D-pad left. So it when I press D-pad left, it highlights the button axis 1. So I go there, and it says button left should do keyboard key left. Okay, and move piece right is the left keyboard button. So that's axis 1 right. So this thing should be, I'm going to press on the keyboard the right arrow key. I go OK. And then I want to move piece down, which is down. So axis 2. Down is the event on the right hand side. And this thing should be keyboard key arrow down. Okay. And then I need the button to rotate. So rotate this thing counterclockwise up. I need to map it to button 1. So button 1 is this thing, and that needs to be a keyboard arrow key. Where are you? Okay, up. So I have mapped up as button 1. I have mapped down, left, and right from the left-hand side D-pad. Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3 keys, and then a button for rotate. Okay, let's start break. What was the name of the application? Blocks. Okay, let's maximize this thing. doesn't have a view full screen mode, which it should have. Okay. And let's see if this thing works. So D-pad left works, D-pad right works, D-pad up, there's no such thing, and then rotate. Okay. We start with an error. Okay, so the down D-pad works. Oh. I pressed left D-pad and it pressed down D-pad. Okay, I'm showing how to play really bad Tetris. Don't do this. All the hopes are on a line. Yay. And I pressed left and it kept left pressed. Whoa. Forget me. Okay. So it keeps pressing down. It thinks that the down arrow key is continuously pressed, the down D-pad. Let me plug it out. So that thing did not work correctly. How do I stop this thing? So the application is the problem that sends the key presses a million times. Only reboot will stop this madness. Okay, QJoyPad. So I didn't save the layout. Let me do this again. So left is left, right is right. This is down. Okay. And this is rotate. So up. Okay. I'm not sure why it sends so many events. More than one. In rapid succession. Left, left. Okay, so enough. Okay. What other game can we exercise using a gamepad? I don't know. Probably the Pac-Man. K breakout. Let's do K breakout. Search. K breakout. Install K breakout. Okay, let's start K breakout. Okay, so it says press space to fire the ball and to pause and to... So there's space, and then there's the keyboard arrows, left and right. So 3 buttons. Okay, let's see how this thing works. So this has a view full screen mode, great. And then the configuration is just for theme. If mouse should be captured and used for triggering the ball. And then there's keyboard shortcuts. Okay, in here it doesn't say what the actions are for left and right. How can you remap them? Which you could do on the other game. And then the space is fire the ball. So again, we'll not be able to put gamepad button 1 in here as the space action, as fire the ball. So we need to map it from QJoyPad. Where are you? Okay, so we save the kblocks profile, we create a new one for key breakout. Key breakout. Okay. And we want a left and a right. So either D-pad or analog joystick. From what I tried, the analog joystick is a bit faster. And you need all of the speed possible. So let's go with the analog left joystick instead of the D-pad. So axis 5, left should be left, and the right should be right. Okay, and we need another action for the fire the ball. So button 1 will become space on the keyboard. Okay, let's save this thing as key breakout profile. You can fast choose between the profiles by right-clicking in the system tray. Okay, let's see if it just works. So press space to fire the ball. Okay, let's go full screen mode. Okay. Oof. So you also need to guess the angle when you hit the ball. Or get me. Okay, so that's kind of it. The game is very hard from the start. Level 1 is extremely hard. Okay, let's try the very last one. A last game, which is Pac-Man. So this is the way a hardware device that plays Pac-Man looks like. So there's a start, pause, volume, on, off, reset buttons. We do not care about those. We will use the keyboard and the mouse for those. And then there's just 4 buttons, which are going to be either the D-pad or the buttons 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the game is called Capman. Let's install it. Okay, let's start it. It started with the wrong size. Okay, so again, let's look in the settings. View full screen mode, great. Settings, play sounds, show status bar, difficulty. Let's go with easy. Toolbars, configure Capman just has a title, a theme selector. And then configure keyboard shortcuts. So let's see those. Doesn't say anything about the arrow keys. So they don't seem to be editable from here. Let's see if the keyboard arrow keys are actually the only buttons that we need to map. Press any key or arrow key to start. Whoa. Let's stop these sounds. Okay. How do we pause this thing? P. Okay, so we'll need to also map the letter P. So let's do that. QJoyPad, a new profile called Capman. Okay. And let's go with a D-pad. So left is left, right is right. Great. Up and down. This thing is up. This thing is down, okay. And we'll need P to be button 1. This thing is P. Okay. And save. Never quit. You need it to be minimized in the tray. So you don't want to exit QJoyPad. When you exit QJoyPad, there will be no active mappings from your gamepad to the keyboard keys. And it also, QJoyPad also allows you to map from gamepad axis and buttons to mouse buttons. Maybe it also allows me to scroll. That's what I'm going to test in a second. Okay, so we save the profile, minimize, and then let's see if this thing works. So button 1 to unpause. Okay. Okay, how do I? Down. Up. Doesn't want to go up. Oh. Press any arrow key to start. I have arrow keys mapped. Up. So up and it went left. It's not like I know how to play this thing. Oh. My score is bad. Okay. Remember, yes. Ctrl Shift F to exit. And now let's see if we can scroll in a web browser page. This thing. And we'll make a new profile for web browsing. Okay. And we want this thing to be cleared. So I pressed on the clear button. And I just want to map the scroll to analog joystick left. So to this thing axis 6. So I want a, what is this? No key. So where is it? The up axis 6, this thing, should be mouse 5, whatever is mouse 5. And down should be mouse 4. Okay. Save, minimize, and let's see. So scroll down, it goes in reverse. Scrolling up. Okay, let's change this thing. Scrolling up. Should scroll up. I don't know why it's reversed. Save. Okay, now we're talking. But it just goes once. It doesn't go a million times.